Today's meeting should be relatively brief. So if you don't mind, Madam Vice Chair, I'll just kind of walk through what's in the memo and explain what's going on. Okay. So for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, as I noted in the memo, that has been delayed. So it is going to the council on August 7th. I did reach out to the bone draggers, and I talked with Melissa, and she said that they were not interested in a loan for their driveway project for their duplex. So I put that in the council packet of information as well. We did receive some additional clarification information from North Valley Friends Church regarding, it's not the Home Builders Association, but it's the Home Building Foundation. So that information is included in the council packet as well. So that's kind of where we're at. So there'll be more to share with you in October. The Habitat grant that we had done previously, that has been closed out. So I got that to council on June 5th. Actually, we put it on consent. There's nothing for the council to really talk about. And so it was accepted. And so we've now closed that case out and the file is on Faye's desk. The construction excise tax. So the council had a conversation about the CET program, and the city attorney brought forward an ordinance that revised the prior ordinance and language that's in our municipal code. So that program for the collection of construction excise tax funds has been terminated. That went into effect on July 1st of 2023. We had notices out at the counter and so forth, and letting developers know that that particular fee would no longer be collected starting July 1st. There was a provision in the ordinance that was adopted that any developer who paid any fees, the CET fee between April 1st and June 30th, is that they can file an appeal to seek to get their funds back. And it's only for that window of time though. And so we're waiting to get through that particular process before we know exactly how much money we have in the CET fund. It's, yes, Casey.
Is there a deadline by which they have to file?
There is, and I don't remember it off the top of my head. I think they had until the end of August to do that. Once we get through all of these processes, then I can work with the finance department to get the exact number that we have in the CET fund. It's going to be roughly around $1 million. 15% of that has to go to Oregon Housing and Community Services for the first-time homebuyer program. And then what's left is that the council will need to make decisions about what they want to do. Do they want staff to do a notice of funding availability out to the development community to build affordable housing? And this would be 80% or less of area median income. So we'll have to wait, be more of an update on that. Again, if we get to the October meeting. The community development block grant. So it's clipping along. So at the time I wrote the memo, I have signed off on 27 projects. I've talked with the housing authority, and the residents who are getting assistance are very, very appreciative. They're getting their bathrooms fixed and electrical fixed and ramps and windows and roofs and so forth. Because we had a change with staff at the housing authority, we kind of lost about 6 months of time until they hired a new person, got through the training and scaled up. So we reached out to Business Oregon and asked them if we could get a 6-month extension on our grant. And they agreed to that. So we now have the signed documentation. So our grant program will now terminate. We have to have all the final paperwork turned in by the end of June of 2024. Been talking with Mark Irving at the Housing Authority as well. So he's doing more outreach to residents in our manufactured home parks to see if there's some more interest. We still got some money left. They also had a conversation with Business Oregon is if we cannot find more residents who are looking for assistance, might we be able to use it on some stick-built homes for those that meet the income qualification requirements. And Business Oregon indicated that is possible to do. The other option is that when we made the application, the city of Dayton and the city of McMinnville were our backups if there were some funds that we were not able to expend. And so Mark's going to reach out to both of those communities to see. They've got some short lists already, so we know that there is some interest. So, but we're trying to keep all the money in Newberg and address the housing stock that we have here locally. Any questions on that? Okay.
Yeah, just a clarifying question.
Mm-hmm.
Does 27 projects mean 27 manufactured homes?
Yes.
Okay.
27 homes. So our target when we made the application was 43. So we'll hope we'll get there. I've signed off some forms on a couple more projects since this memo went out. So we're around 29 now. So Mark will do another round of outreach. They're going to be going to some different events and into the parks and talking with the management companies and so forth to try to see if we can get some more interest in that. The housing production strategy. So the city council accepted that document on May 1st. In meetings leading up to May 1st, they had requested a series of modifications to the document, so we made those changes. We met our grant deadline with the Department of Land Conservation and Development, so we've got everything submitted, acknowledged, they've accepted it, and they've made the final reimbursement payment for that project. So it's now closed out. One of the things for the HPS is that the council requested, and it's in the resolution that accepted the document, that it will get reviewed annually. So every May, staff will be taking a report about what's been accomplished, what activities have occurred over the prior year. And that would give the council some opportunity to make some adjustments, course corrections as they move forward in time. Questions on that one? Okay. Then we have the multifamily code audit. So City Council adopted the comp plan and development code changes related to that on April 17th. We submitted all the documentation to DLCD. They've accepted it all. They made our final reimbursement payment on that project, and it is now closed out. Hey, so Faye's getting a taller stack of files on her desk because I'm moving them out of my office to go be archived. The housing work program. So this is something that we talk about every year. So it's a 5-year work program. And so I attached it just to kind of refresh those who've been on the commission or those that are new. We've updated it and identified projects that have been completed, like the HPS and the code audit. But what we'd like for you to do is think about this before we get to our October meeting. And in October, we'll have some discussions about, do you want to suggest any modifications to the document? Do you want to change the time horizon on some of the activities? We also have, by that time, summaries of the legislative bills that have been passed related to housing, and we'll be able to share that with you. And you'll be able to consider something you want to add to the work program or not. So this is more of a queue up. You've got 3 months to do some work, and then you'll get your packet a week before the meeting, and then you'll do some more scrambling. So that's kind of where we're at with that process. Then the few miscellaneous items. So the city council on July 3rd approved the Kalina at Springbrook subdivision. So that's an 8-phase project of 403 lots, which will include detached single-family homes. There'll be quadplex, detached quadplex product in that. We'll have some homes that kind of look like a townhome, but they're actually separated. They're more of the skinny lots, taller. So the council approved that. They approved modifications to the Springbrook master plan. They approved a zone change for the property at the corner of College and Mountain View from commercial to mid-rise residential. And they approved a stream corridor impact. Now there's a new pedestrian bridge that will be constructed on the north side of Mountain View Drive over Hess Creek. And so that'll be constructed with phase 1 of the proposed subdivision. So that would, we've all driven down through the dip. We call it the dip on Mountain View, and it's dangerous for people who, there's no sidewalks. So if you're riding a bike or walking and so forth, it's a little bit scary. So now there'll be a new 12-foot wide pedestrian bridge on the north side of the roadway, and it will connect back up towards ADEC on the other side and connect back up. So it'll be a lot safer for pedestrians and bikes in that area. They've got some open space, quite a bit of open space that's in that particular project. So we're just waiting to get through the Land Use Board of Appeals appeal period, which ends at the end of the day on the 27th. And I have not heard anything so far, so no news is good news. If you kind of want to get an idea of what the housing product might look like, you can actually watch the city council meeting on YouTube. And the developer did a video, a flyover video about what the project would look like. You know, everybody's pretty standard looking at 2-dimensional drawings, but this one was very nice that they put together to give the Planning Commission and the council an idea of what the housing style would look like, where the quadplexes are at, where their open space is. They've got some future applications that they're going to have to submit. One is for the clubhouse and the swimming pool. Another one is dealing with Mountain View Drive and the road cross section based upon some prior approvals back in 2008. And then there's some right-of-way vacation up on Alder Street that will have to occur in the future as well. So project's not done, but it's moving forward. The Newberg Workforce Housing Consortium. So this is a consortium of our largest developers in town, I should say employers in town. So it includes Friendsview, George Fox University, ADEC, Newberg Public Schools, Providence. So we've been meeting for well over 3 years now, before pandemic. And they've engaged with a nonprofit organization called the Missing Middle Housing Fund. And so we did, back on April 5th, we did an all-day event and brought in people from around the state and in the community and talked about workforce housing, which is 80% to 120% of area median income. Then an RFP was pushed out, and we had 7 responses from development entities interested. The group went through and evaluated and scored the proposals. We did interviews of finalists, and in the end, they've identified 2 groups to work with. One is Edelin and Company and Quantum Assembly. So if you want to see what Quantum Assembly produces as housing, you can Google that. They are a company in Portland. Edelin and Company is well known in the Pacific Northwest. And then a second project is between Corey Redding, Philip Higgins, and the Baker Family Trust. And this is for a site down in the Riverfront Master Plan area, down off of 14th Street. And it would be a mixed use project, which would have 60 residential units in it. So for the first one with Edelin is we're talking with Friendsview about possibly a piece of land they have to put the quantum assembly housing product on. We're talking with George Fox University about a piece of property they have to put the quantum assembly product on. And then the Reading Higgins Baker group is there. It would be commitments by our largest employers to rent units for their workers, and that will bring the price point down so it stays within that workforce housing range instead of the fair market rent range that we typically see. So SEDCOR, the Strategic Economic Development Corporation, is leading all of this. The city has been a participant in it. So there'll be more to come. All things take time, but this was the legislature awarded for the benefit of Newberg $3 million to apply towards developing workforce housing. And so we're going to work with these two different groups and see if we can get some product on the ground that fits into that financial range. The next project is Crestview Crossing. So across from the hospital, you can see the commercial and the single family homes are going in. They made an application to modify their planned unit development. Instead of building 110 more of the single family homes, the skinny, tall, 3-story homes, they proposed to build 196 apartment units instead. And so that went to the Planning Commission. That was approved with conditions, just like Kalina was approved by council with conditions. So those would be market rate apartment units. There were questions asked about, do they take Section 8 housing vouchers and so forth? Yes, they do. So there will be some units that will be available in that lower and middle income housing range as well. So in the future, you will see more activity there off of Highway 99 and Crestview Drive as they start to build that project. The next housing project we've got is Crestview.
Hey, Doug.
Yeah.
I just want to say something.
Yeah.
It's illegal to deny somebody
Yep.
if they have a housing voucher. Just want to put that out there. I mean, the rent might be too high to be approved by the housing authority to live there, but it's illegal to discriminate based on source of income, which a voucher is.
Yep.
Just wanted to say that.
Thank you. It came up at the Planning Commission hearing as well.
Could I ask a question also, Doug, about the workforce housing? I know, I talked with Frank Engel months ago about this project and the housing that those corporations are working together. Will that only be for their employees?
The ones that we're looking at on a small area at Friendsview would be for Friendsview employees. We still have to work through with George Fox. Would it be for George Fox employees plus other community members? Don't have an answer to that one yet. The other project down on the riverfront, it would be primarily for the consortium members' workers to access those apartment units. But we've also had conversations about different entities in Newberg who might want to join the consortium to provide access for their workers as well. None of these projects are right now are strictly, open market available to anybody within that range. But it's a pilot project. And so what we're trying to do is create something that can be replicated around the state. And we've already got some interest. City of Bend, the Missing Middle Housing Fund went and did a presentation to them, and they were very intrigued about what Newberg and its largest employers are trying to create. And information is being shared with Representative Scharf, who's the one who got the allocation for the benefit of Newberg as well, so that she can go back and talk with her colleagues in the legislature about, look what Newberg was able to create, you know, with this $3 million to address this particular housing need. So we're early in the whole process, but more to come. Good question.
And I have a follow-up question, and I'm just clarifying, this is all brand new development, like these are new
Yeah.
builds.
These, right now, they're all new builds. When we were having these years of discussions, we talked about, could the money be used to buy an existing product and do rehabilitation work on it and then make it so it's affordable within that 80% to 120%. That's not off the table in the future. It's possible to do, but right now the group is focusing on the new product to go on the ground.
I mean, which frees up then other housing, essentially. It's trickle down.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
And it's probably one of the big important parts of this is it's being structured as a revolving investment fund. So as the dollars go in to a project, the money that's invested will come back to the consortium so they can do another project and then another project. We have to negotiate out what the terms of all of that would be and when those funds would come back to be able to apply to yet another project in the future. But that was a key part of the consortium members, is they wanted to be able to have this recycle over and over and over again, just to address this one aspect of the 80% to the 120. The last project I had was Crestview Green, which is a planned unit development, and it's off of Highway 99, just to the east of Crestview Crossing. So that particular one has 14 detached single family, 96 townhouses, and a 24-unit apartment building. They just submitted and were approved for an extension on their conditional use permit, which takes them out into December. So they are trying to get started on their project here later this summer, before the rains come in October. And it will be a two-phase project. And so it will be townhomes, primarily townhomes, and then have some larger lots up on the north, abutting against Oxford Lake subdivision. And then probably the last that would get built would be the apartment building in that project. So that's what I have for all of you. I said, be relatively short today. Any questions, further questions? Okay.
I actually was wondering, the vote on, what is it, like terminating the CET, what was the numbers on that?
Oh, I'd have to look.
Was it
It
unanimous?
was 4-3.
I'd have to look back. I don't have it off the top of my head, Melissa. I can email.
I think
everybody.
Leslie just said it was 4-3.
I'll look it up. I'll send an email out to everybody. Anything else? So if not, then your October meeting will be on the 24th.
I have a question about our homework for that.
Mhm.
The housing work program kind of color coded calendar you gave us.
Yep.
So the ones that say completed, I'm assuming we don't have to give that any additional attention, right?
That's correct.
So what about the ones that are not completed, but their color bar is not like, it doesn't go into the current and future?
That's part of your discussion because we've had some things be placed on hold.
Okay.
So looking at the list, allowing small and tiny homes has been on hold. Recreational vehicles have been on hold. Allow sharing of utility lines. We're past the fiscal year. We thought we were going to work on that one. Second kitchens, we've done the research, but it's been on hold. Then timeframes, we completed that. Housing strategy, we don't really need to do that anymore because we have a housing production strategy, which is different than a housing strategy implementation plan. Lot size mandates, minimum density standards, affordable housing, property tax abatement, housing on religious institution properties, evaluate expanding density bonuses, reduce complexity, maintenance requirements, and cost of stormwater treatment, monitoring of short-term vacation rentals. We are currently working on that one. That's been a priority of the prior council, definitely a priority of the planning commission. So we'll be meeting the next couple of months and giving some final reports to the planning commission, get a recommendation and take that on to city council. So anything you see that's not been completed, and we're now into fiscal year 23, 24, part of that will be, do we need to move these time horizons from where we thought they would occur? Do we move them out further into time? And what horizon do they get moved to?
I have a question on that. So there has to be people to carry out the work. So have you hired a housing planner to replace Mary? And then do you think that they'll be going through a process to hire for your position and we'd be meeting that person before you leave?
So yes, we've been hiring positions. We did not hire a housing planner. We hired 2 assistant planners who are currently here, Leanne Wagner and James Dingwall. We've hired an associate planner. His name is Jeremiah Cromie. He will be starting on August 28th. And Clay Downing, our planning manager, will be taking over in the interim role as the director on my retirement. So some of this also gets to, just to be aware, is that this program, we always take it to the city council. So these are your suggestions to council. The council has the final authority to say what city staff is going to work on and what they're not going to work on. So Clay and I have been talking about this, so he will be prepared. He'll be at our meeting on October 24th as well. So you get to meet, all will get to see him in meeting, and he'll be working with you as you move forward in time. Other questions? All right then. Like I said, next meeting, October 24th. So I'll turn it back over to Casey for adjournment.
Do I just say the meeting's adjourned or am I asking for a motion?
You can just say the meeting is adjourned.
We are adjourned.
Hey. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.